everyone! Pineapple here, back with the One Piece live action, having finished Season 1 just in time for Season 2. And boy do we have some hard-hitting episodes here. Last season was pretty strong, not all the changes worked, but it was clear that from all sides this is coming from people who care about the story of One Piece, so both the world and performances, bar bits of a singular episode, were really solid. This season also comes with its fair share of changes and additions, but will it stay consistently great, or will it come down to good with another hour-long park? Let's see as we get into the first episode, the beginning and the end. Also, in case you're a new watcher going episode by episode, I will talk about the season as a whole in some aspects, so look out for spoilers. We start the episode with a pretty good opener not seen in the anime, both helping introduce the evil organization that is the overarching villain of this season, and probably the next, but tying in nicely to the last season as we revisit Shellstown. As Baroque works are pretty ticked off, their number 7 was taken out. First of all, we have Mr. 5, played here by Camrus Johnson, who unbeknownst to me has actually been seen on the channel before in the Electric State, but I know best as Luke Fox in Batwoman. And as his partner is Jazara Jaslyn, playing Miss Valentine. Now these two will be featured in the later episodes, so while we don't get any clear demonstration of their abilities, I can easily say these two nail the personalities of the Baroque Works agents. But also the outfits are on point, Valentine even getting that fuck-ass bell-looking hat. With them, the as-yet unnamed Miss All Sunday leads the attack, played by Lara Abova, who we last saw in Honey Don't. And I think she does well enough as the enigmatic assassin this time around, but I am looking forward to future seasons where she has a lot more to do as Nico Robin. The invasion of Shellstown is complete as Robin utterly destroys the Marines, including a nice adaptation of Ripper, in a hallway massacre that is a great display of her devil fruit abilities. The CGI pretty on point. But they take the guy who Nami stripped last season as their only hostage so he can tell them who exactly they're after for the death of Mr. 7, being of course Zoro and Monkey D. Luffy. Robin's interest, the perfect segue back to the Going Merry. Our main crew are back, all reprised by their actors from Season 1. All of them, even the stoic Zoro, all able to show a really fun feeling of familiarity between Sanji knowing how to convince Nami to stop at Logtown, much to Usopp's dismay, and Nami knowing exactly how to get Luffy to agree. To see the execution platform of the Pirate King, where they killed Gold Roger right at the start of the show. Like I said, it's clear that the cast are comfortable in their roles for the whole season, although some dynamics get more focused than others. It's clear that both the writing for the characters and the actors themselves are pretty comfortable with the dynamics.
Why don't we go to Logtown?
That sounds like a perfectly safe, non-dangerous place to visit. I like this.
Logtown is the largest marine hub in all of these.
Yeah, let's not go there.
No one is able to resist Nami and Sanji, so much to Luffy's excitement they start heading for Logtown, giving us a neat little card based on Roger himself, the We Are accompaniment based on the anime opening leading perfectly into the show's theme tune. We get back into flashback land before they can reach the town, heading to just before the execution to Roger and Garp having a chat, the two of them reprised and having a very good and more cordial dynamic this time around. Now I have just reached the point it's revealed in the anime, so I was kind of spoiled on the topic, as Roger here is clearly sick, judging by the way he laughs and coughs, and he asks Garp to look after his secret son. Now while that wasn't revealed anywhere near the East Blue Saga, there is a good point to leaving it this early, as it leads the audience to speculate until the reveal. Many reaction channels very sure that it must be Luffy. A very funny joke in retrospect considering who else is in Logtown around the same time as the Straw Hats are.
You've cursed me for the last time.
Either way, the scene is very nicely played. Garp will have little to do this season compared to the last, but he isn't used poorly. The crew make it to Logtown, and with the CGI overheads and the handful of sets they have full of references, it feels enough like the big city it should for the marine hub of the East Blue. They plan out who's going where, Zoro on his own, Sanji and Luffy to buy food, and Nami with Usopp for some shopping. And while Nami bemoans the sausage party that share one brain cell, as Zoro tries to figure out about money, I like that they have the Luffy and crew dynamic down perfectly. He's the powerful captain with a heart that they respect, but they know if they don't keep him on a leash, shit will go sideways real fast. With a mysterious hooded figure leering, they split off and we get introduced to one of our main marines this season, Robbie Williams music video star Callum Kerr as Captain Smoker, who is pretty on point as a character, but with the wig and being a Netflix show is kinda making me think of Geralt. Usopp references an anime and I think light novel only plot by taking and buying some goggles instead of a young girl, while Nami and he have nice character moments relating to Kaya and Nami's now freedom to make her own maps. But the real surprise is in the appearance of one Bartolomeo, played by Nahum Hughes, a character in the anime that I'm not up to, but I'm told reveals in flashbacks was inspired by the Straw Hats' actions in Logtown, like 700 episodes earlier or something. So having the foreknowledge, I like that the show is attempting to show things as they should be, such as flashback characters next episode, that are supposed to be faceless until Thriller Bark, being cast and prominent on screen instead. It not only makes complete sense and is the right decision to make for consistency's sake, but if this show gets cancelled or ends earlier than I'd like, that means that even if not in their full capacity, at least fan favourites do get to make appearances. Either way, he's a neat inclusion, his through line in the episode is interesting and sweet, and his interaction with Nami as she has to teach him how to rob is pretty funny. Next is Zoro's escapade running into Smoker's second-in-command, Tashigi, played by Julia Rawald, who we last saw on the channel in Fear Street. Now, while I think she is a bit Velma-y when she loses her glasses, Zoro instead thinks she looks like Kuina, humorously bringing out his petulant, childish personality for a second, really making me see the young Zoro actor from last season in him.
You just look like someone I used to know.
Tashigi, for all they try and do with her, is basically as memorable as in the anime, not that much, but she does get her fair few good scenes and even some extra ones not in the anime thrown in to flesh her out a bit. So the show obviously wants more to be done with her, but to me she's just fine like her anime counterpart was. She tries to help but follows Zoro noticing his sword, and between her and a sketchy sword dealer, who is pretty fun, we learn there are blade categories in this world, some rarer than others. In fact, Kuina's sword being the Wado Ichimonji, one of the 21 Great Blades. These scenes are fun and Zoro gets his badass moment as the shopkeeper tries not to, but in the end ends up giving Zoro a supposedly cursed sword after Zoro's ballsy test of strength, fate, the blade, or hell maybe just dumb luck, deeming it's the sword for him. And seeing these actions as badass as they are, ignoring how foolhardy it was, the shopkeeper gifts him with a third blade, one of his own. Very happy to find a worthy swordsman for it. While Tashigi, who he's known for a while now, is right over there in the same room. What an ass. Meanwhile, Sanji shops for food as he keeps distracting Luffy and they end up finding a bluefin elephant tuna, what Sanji was cooking with at the Baratier. The server, who is either on brand with his hair or maybe even a type of fishman, telling them that Zeph stole Sanji's idea that he shot down last season and put it on the menu. Unfortunately, Sanji lets Luffy wander and he spends all day looking for the platform with some nice gags, especially with Bartolomeo, who finally pegs him as his next mark, but instead of robbing him, just actually takes him to the platform. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, is he? At the platform is a circus, which I think is a lot more interesting than Buggy just wandering around trying to catch Luffy. It actually gives Buggy some smarts to set a trap and lay in waiting, even if in all his planning he's kind of giving Luffy and his motives more credit than they're due. Luffy has his nice quiet scene honouring the platform, and Bartolomeo gets a nice little moment caught off guard that Luffy would ask him about his dreams. But before they can get any further, Buggy reveals himself, and he's as great as he was last season. Sure, only for one episode, but he instantly gets laughs, giving the character the perfect demeanour in his interactions with Luffy and Bartolomeo, and once again genuinely hitting the perfect spot between creepy murderer and comedic ADHD. Alvida is also revealed, the two having teamed up at the end of last season, and while I can't say I particularly care about Alvida, my god has the actress really put in the effort, as much like the character, she has lost a hell of a ton of weight to emulate what happened when Alvida ate the slip fruit. Her using it to, I guess, make Luffy dizzy so they can slap him into sea stone cuffs. Look, I like the way that they do her slip tracks, and introducing the Sea Stone that weakens Devil Fruit users. It's clever, but we already have Luffy getting mesmerized by Miss Wednesday later, and then painted on by Miss Golden Week. So why they're giving all the woozy date rape feeling scenes to Luffy this season, I have no idea. I guess they were just itching to actually have a reason to use the fisheye lens they were spamming last season. Smoker has the area surrounded and he gets a really sweet scene straight out of the anime, a little girl spilling ice cream on him, and him telling her not only to get more, but to make it bigger. It shows well that he may be a hard ass, but he's not corrupt or straight up evil like Morgan and Ratface.
What are you waiting for ice cream to go?
Yes, Captain Smoker.
The rest of the crew get together, Zoro proud at his haggling skills, and Sanji very happy with his tuna, but Nami and her impeccable navigation skills can tell a storm is coming, so they need to get out of here. And the obvious turmoil of the platform is of course their captain. Buggy and Alvida get to do a funny courtroom bit that Bartolomeo just has to sit through, but the crew arrive and so begins a crew versus crew brawl. Zoro takes out a few clowns and easily slices Kawaji into the dirt, Sanji gets some really good moves in, and Nami gets to show off her skill and quick thinking as her and Usopp take down Alvida with a Chekhov's pepper star. Meanwhile, Tashigi feels betrayed Zoro is a filthy pirate, while Buggy genuinely tries to execute Luffy. The Straw Hat freaking out both the clown and Smirker as he laughs exactly like Roger did up there. Very well done. Thankfully, before he can be killed, a thunderbolt splinters the clown and sends the tower collapsing. Luffy rolling out like nothing happened. Unfortunately, Smirker takes that moment to intercede, sending the Straw Hats running. Bartolomeo sending them in the right direction, but they do encounter some obstacles. Well, that's what you get for following Zoro's sense of direction, I guess. Him running directly into Tashigi and Luffy and Sanji running into Smoker. Zoro versus Tashigi isn't the most complex fight, but they both get to show off good moves, and Tashigi's appearance making Zoro act out the same mistakes as when he used to fight Kuina is a really nice touch. But of course he kicks her ass, but hurting her most in the ego and honor when he walks away. Luffy and Sanji almost escape, but while Sanji pulls some really cool moves, he's taken out easily. And Smoker spends the CGI budget of the episode heavily by using many smoke limbs to send Luffy flying. He gets Luffy pressed to the floor, Luffy's anger pretty cartoonish, and if I had one problem with Luffy's characterization as a whole this season, it's probably the Shooty effect. In Shooty's Doctor Who run, Shooty cried often, usually the classic trope of one lone tear, perfectly down one cheek, and due to its conformity and repeat usage, it became for many people an annoyance. And Luffy's anger this season is the same. In this one scene, the cartoonish rage and being held down works, but there are a couple obvious examples later where he becomes cartoonishly angry again, whereas his quieter rage from the last season, like he had against Kuro or Arlong, would have worked a lot better. So whether that's Inuyaki himself or a writing/directing decision to try and make him feel closer to the anime, it's the only negative in his character that really stood out to me. That's the reason why I love characters like Usopp and Sanji in this version so much, is that they tone down the cartoonish antics while keeping the core of the characters. Of course, the hooded stranger from before, being Dragon, comes to save Luffy, taking Smoker away so Luffy and the Straw Hats can escape. The Sabo cameo right after really catching me off guard, but I'm happy to say I liked Dragon's monologuing. A new scene, as far as I can tell, comes in Robin playing to Tashigi's sorrow and inferiority, seemingly asking her to join Baroque Works, which I don't think will ever happen, so honestly I don't know what they're gonna do with these two next season to justify this scene. After she talks with Smoker, who has a well-delivered monologue about wanting to stop the Pirate Age, wanting to stop Luffy from becoming the inspiring powerhouse that was Roger, Smoker all too eager to hunt them down in the Grand Line, telling Tashigi to get ready, even though next episode he'll tell her to stay put, so I'm not sure what that's about, but whatever. Bartolomeo has a nice little epilogue scene where, inspired by the Straw Hats, he looks in a mirror, recreating Luffy's wanted poster, and I don't really know what he'll do in the future, but the scene is sweet either way. And the episode ends with the crew together and ready to enter the Grand Line. So this episode is certainly a strong start to the season, adapting Logtown well, introducing elements that were placed in here retroactively, so no revision is needed. Our new characters in Tashigi and Smoker were interesting, the added introduction to the season arc was memorable, memorable, and while bringing back Buggy and Alvida for an episode was done well, where the characters really shine is in the great groove our main crew is in. From the start, these are undoubtedly the Straw Hats, and I can't wait to see more interactions and additions later in the season. Thank you everybody for watching my review of the first episode of One Piece Season 2. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.